And right now, the people at home can't see it, but Ian and Jonathan are really uncomfortable.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Ian Whittington, doing my best Aaron Dicer impression, and this week I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Daniel Cardoso.
Hi there.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Hi there. That was almost seductive. Was it meant to be?
No, it wasn't. It just kind of went that direction. It's just the mood. That's the Friday morning mood right there.
This is how Daniel wakes up on Fridays. He wakes up. I'm not going to finish that sentence. How are we doing, guys?
Good.
The weird thing is, like, we have to do that 3 times. So we do that when we first get on the call. We do a how are you doing, guys, when we do behind the scenes for the live chat. And then in the actual show. Aaron needs to tighten up how we do the intro to this show. It's clunky.
It should just be a never-ending conversation, so we never say hello or goodbye. It's just continual. It's
even like between episodes?
Yes. Even between episodes.
It's been a little quiet because like Aaron's been gone this week, and then I'll be gone next week, and then Chris was gone like the week before. So I don't know. It's just like it's summer, so people are taking their vacations, and
how dare they take vacation?
I don't know necessarily adding more work, but it just feels like it's more quiet. Like there's not as many people jumping on Slack and stuff.
That makes sense. And it's weird, like everyone's on vacation, but I'm the one that didn't write anything this week. I'm the only one that actually had time off from writing.
It's because Ian, we do things in advance.
Exactly.
If you didn't know that.
No.
And
no, we write things the day before they're due on the channel, and that never ever goes wrong. No, that terrifies
the day before.
me.
We used to do like the week before, and I still can't believe that worked.
Crazy.
Because you just had to hope that you didn't get a claim or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you did, you had to scrounge for something else.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, lots to get into this week, so let's head into the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We look at the videos from the week, the process of sending them, and how we felt about the show/movie in general. Let's mix it up and start with CinemaSins. No, I'm kidding. That would freak Aaron out if I changed the order that we did the videos in.
Well, he doesn't have to edit it, so...
No, I know, but I almost want to do it. No, let's start with commercial sins. Life cereal with little Mikey. This was a Watkins script. This is a cereal? Yes? I don't know that we have Life over here.
You might not. I don't even know. Like, I mean, I think they still make it. But
I actually hope not, because you personally attacked them in this video.
Oh, it's all in good fun. No, yeah, it still exists. Yeah, it's just it's like a, I don't know. It's just kind of like a, I don't know what you guys have, so I'm trying to think of what to.
It kind of looks like shredded wheat or like
it's kind of similar to that.
Things.
Doesn't have a lot of flavor, and it's actually not bad. I mean, I was just that's our narrator is supposed to hate everything, so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was an incorrect assessment on the flavor.
I mean, I've never really I'm not positive I've ever eaten it. So
and I can tell you because that's what I had for breakfast this morning.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Daniel has just pulled out a box of Life cereal, who I've just noticed haven't changed their packaging since this commercial release. That looks exactly the same.
Well, then how would you describe it, Daniel? It is kind of like a shredded wheat. Or like Chex. Do you guys have Chex?
No.
Oh, you don't have Chex Mix or anything?
What? No, we don't. And I only worked out a few weeks ago that what Chex Mix is, because it was a couple of months ago when I was staying with Aaron because he or his wife makes a Chex Mix, and I was like, "Wait, this is cereal." He was like, "Yeah, that's what it is." And I was like, "How? This is odd."
Yeah. It is. No, I've never completely understood Chex Mix, but I know Jeremy's really into it too. I think he has a Chex Mix that he makes every holiday or something.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's never been a thing. Huh?
Right? Yeah. Is it you season it and
Yeah, I think they actually
add flavors.
It's not just throwing Chex and peanuts and pretzels together. I think they actually take some.
There's some science to it.
They season it, or however you say it. I don't know. I've never made it, so if we've ever had it, it's because we bought it. But
it usually works.
You can get prepackaged. It's a pretty popular thing, especially around the holidays. Daniel, did you know about this commercial?
No, I had no idea.
So this was a commercial.
Wait, the commercial? Yeah. Well, let's say I knew about it. I'd never seen it.
But you've heard of Mikey, like you knew that whole. Yeah. So this was a commercial that came out like 78, I think I found out. But it played like I remember this like playing all through my childhood. So I'm pretty sure they just ran with this, and they could have had different variations on it, kind of like we get different Progressive insurance commercials for like 10 years or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they could have had different variations on it. In fact, I feel like they did one when Mikey was older to kind of like it was a legit
like
commercial.
A little throwback thing.
Yeah, I feel like that might have happened, but I could be wrong. I could be imagining that. I could have wanted that to happen.
Well, it did now. What was it like to ride on it?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, this is like I like to try to throw some of the older ones in sometimes. I don't know how well they do. I mean, we did Where's the Beef? That might have been like the oldest one we had done up to this point, which that was a real popular one in the 80s too. So this one was just one that, just made sense. It was funny like watching it and realizing like how awful their plan was. Like they like clearly did not understand
Pick the wrong guinea pig.
How to test a theory. So I had a lot of fun with that. Also, for those that don't know the urban legend, there was an urban legend that the kid that played Mikey drank soda and Pop Rocks and died.
What a specific...
You never heard about this urban legend, Ian? I don't know how American urban legends, venture out.
Some of them venture out and translate, but I've never heard this one.
The movie Urban Legend from the late 90s, the horror movie, like this is one they even mention in that.
That's so funny.
But yeah, that was just like when I was a kid, I remember this. It was like people would dare you to like take Pop Rocks and then drink soda. And
that didn't happen.
No,
I'm guessing / hoping.
No, it didn't happen. But that's why I had to get that in there somehow. And
that is oddly specific. That's amazing.
So that's why at the end I was like, why not Pop Rocks? That's kind of where I went. So I was just trying to throw that in for.
For the 5 people that get that, they will love it.
I mean, I feel like I feel like people my age and maybe even I don't know, urban legends. It just kind of depends on where you live, like what urban legends I think you hear about.
How do they
it's
work?
Obviously not. It's probably not of the status of like the caller from the other room or the hook, the hook hand and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's one I've heard my whole life. So, and like I said, when we were kids and this rumor first happened, I remember that was and people still ate Pop Rocks. That was kind of a dare.
It didn't tank their
Pop
shares.
Rocks still exist, Daniel? Can you pull some Pop Rocks out and show them to us?
Well,
you say that. I have nerds, which are very similar.
They are. Nerds are
very, very
nerds are more of a straight up candy. The Pop Rocks are the ones though that like they pop in your mouth, right? It's been a long time since I had them.
I literally have some downstairs, and I wish I'd had the foresight to know that we were going to be talking about them.
I haven't seen Nerds in forever, to be honest.
Nerds are so good. They are my weakness.
There was a Nerd cereal.
Such a child.
There was a Nerd cereal like in the 80s or 90s, and it was like
that's just the coloring
it was
just
divided
leak.
down the middle, and you'd have a flavor over here and a flavor over here. Like you'd have chocolate and you'd have orange or whatever.
That's
like,
weird.
Like puffs, like little round puffs.
Yeah. I feel like making cereal out of candy is just encouraging you to eat too much of that candy, because I'll have like a big bowl of cereal. It won't be like a little situation. That's
cereals are different now. Like they still have like all the classics like Frosted Flakes and Lucky Charms, but I don't feel like you get like you don't really get like the movie tie-ins and stuff like you used to. Like we had like there was like a Gremlin cereal and like an ET cereal.
Yeah, because we don't do breakfast anymore. We skip it. That's why. Well, Daniel, your thoughts on the video?
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
The cereal or the video?
I enjoyed the cereal less after watching the video.
Oh no,
because that cardboard reference, it's not that off. I mean, it's like lightly sugared cardboard, so there's a bit of a corrugated flavor to it now that it's in my mind.
But when you get older, like especially my age, that's the kind of cereal I eat now, because I can't really really handle
can't get the sugary stuff.
Yeah,
need that fiber.
I have to, but I do put like a sugar substitute on it, like not Life specifically, but whatever cereal I choose, I will put like Splenda on it. That's an exciting story.
Let's dive deeper.
Splendid.
Into sugar substitutes and flavorless cereal. Let's do the rest of the show.
Favorite sugar substitutes.
All right, let's regroup. I'm going to regroup here. Well, I didn't remember the commercial, but I remember the reference to Mikey just because I was a picky eater, and like people would constantly make that reference like every time I said I didn't want something. So like that was I just knew of it because of the adults that like, oh, and Mikey, he doesn't eat anything.
Adults are mean.
Yeah.
No, they can be.
That serves you right.
I'm sure my daughter would say the same thing about me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the sins that I enjoyed were just the the first one where the kids are like, what is this stuff? And it's just like, this is fucking cereal, and you know that.
You're just being an asshole.
Oh, that's amazing.
Maybe that's why the comments got turned off. It's like, not only is it kids, but they're like chastising these children.
Hurling abuse at innocent kids from the 70s.
And then, yeah, there is so many references. There's the when you bring life home, don't tell kids it's one of those nutritional cereals. And the sin is this commercial for cereal? For cereal or for you lying to your children? I find the latter more interesting and more tasty.
Wait.
Which was like, I feel like that probably got the comments turned off right there. Use children and tasty in the same sentence. Oh, the last one I had was when he's like, he won't eat it, he hates everything. And it's like, first, clearly he doesn't hate everything because he's still alive, which means he's eaten plenty in his years on Earth. Which is just like a great point about language, about like how we use it. And it's like, we have all these sort of absolute comments that don't leave any room for the nuance of life, really. And I think that it's probably like making us a little bit dumb as a culture. Like he hates everything. Like he won't eat it, not just because he hates this particular food, but he hates everything. Like food, the earth, the solar system. He hates everything.
Existence
so he won't
itself, his own clothes, his parents, everything.
You think those Uber Eat commercials where they're eating paper towels and stuff, that's probably actually happening? Like that's what society has become.
We're maybe not years away from that.
We're close to it. I think wasn't there a disclaimer on that one, like on the commercial?
Oh, yeah, please don't actually eat these things.
Absolutely might be.
There was.
So if that's there, that means that at least one person didn't read that, and they probably did toilet paper. So
I just think you have to change your name at that point, though. Like this is a whole other conversation, but I would think if you're going to start selling everything, you need a better like Uber deliveries or something.
No, I think so. It's not often that you get a Guillain-Barré shout out in a Sins video, and
I didn't know. I looked up like what kind of diseases can bad milk cause.
That's amazing. The only reason like that really sung to me is because Guillain-Barré was always the disease that it wasn't in-house. It was like their first diagnosis was always lupus or Guillain-Barré, and it was never ever
really?
ever either of those things. That.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it was
hilarious.
like just rule it out. Like if you're mentioning it, just chuck it out of the window because you're going to waste the first 15 minutes of the show on that, and it will always end up being hepatitis or something like that. So funny.
Well, I think somebody said on Patreon, if you don't like, I guess there are other ways to get milk than like a traditional like gallon. Like you could have bottles, or you could have, bottles you keep in the bottle. But somebody said if you had milk in a bag, which I didn't even know was a thing.
So, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's a Canada thing, I think, where they have it in a sack or a bag.
So maybe that's like a situation because you would have to pour it in something. But still, I don't know. I would get an empty gallon jug and pour it in that and put it in the fridge. But that's just me.
Well, that is milk chat. So let's move into TV sins. Starting off with Rick and Morty as we continue through season 3. Episode 2, Rickmancing the Stone, which was a Cardoso Dicer script. Daniel, kick us off.
Danny C.
Big D. DC Comics.
I don't know that I want to be called Big D.
No, maybe not.
Like, that's not in America.
DC Comic would be a great stand-up name for you.
Wow, that is good.
It would.
Oh my god!
I feel like I need to launch that career now just because of that.
That is your stage name. You're welcome.
Thank you, much appreciated. So what's the deal with Rick and Morty?
I just got here, and boy, is my teleportation gun tired.
Oh my god!
Here's the bad stand-up. We'll stop there.
I think I might have said this on the show before, but I am a pretty big Rick and Morty fan. So I think whenever I'm writing on these scripts, it's always a good time. It's always a good time and a difficult time to like. It's a bit of a different headspace, and just like in terms of like criticizing a show that is so self-aware. but I particularly enjoyed this episode because Mad Max Fury Road is probably one of my top 10 movies of all time.
Nice.
So just
great.
the fact that they just went so deep into parody of that was really fun.
Yeah, to the point of why is this called Rickmancing the Stone?
It really shouldn't be.
It's probably like one of those things where they just felt like it was like too heavy. Like they were they had already went so hard into like parodying Mad Max that it's almost funny. It's like sort of a joke that they didn't even. They're like not acknowledging what they're doing, sort of.
That actually makes total sense. That definitely checks out.
Because that's like something we would do.
That's true.
Some of the sins I liked when Summer's like, I fucking love post-apocalyptic versions of Earth, and the sin is people that believe in climate change but still don't give a shit.
Amazing.
Yeah, that one was mine, and it came to me in the moment that because like the whole like conversation about climate change is generally like people believe it or they don't believe it or saying it's not true, but like I think there's a subset of people that believe it but are just like, and what? Like why? Like why do I care? And
you may find that's more people than you think.
Yeah, or like, how am I going to help? That kind of thing. It's just more
exactly.
Other people will take care of it. I don't have to mess with it. Yeah.
So I wanted to give them a shout out. I wanted them to know that I see them.
That's almost worse, right? Because
oh yeah,
at least if somebody doesn't believe it, no matter how ridiculous that is, at least like they're standing by their convictions, right? Doesn't make it okay, but it's still like, I don't know, that's less annoying to me than people that do know it's happening and won't just, put a bottle in the right place. You know what I mean?
What is that place? What place? What's the right place, Jonathan?
Up their own judgmental ass.
There you go.
The most annoying thing for me about that whole debate is that we are still using the word believe as if belief has anything to do with it. Science.
No, but I'm saying, I see what you're saying. Like that shouldn't even be part of it.
Belief
you shouldn't say I believe in something that actually exists. Yeah, it's like I believe that there's a laptop in front of me. I really do.
It's not a matter of belief. I have the evidence that it is there.
But what if it's not?
Interesting. But it is.
That laptop might not be there. I could be, you don't know.
Man, as is the theme today, is to just reach for things that we mention. Here is my laptop.
It's good podcast material to show things.
Yeah, we should not do that. Jonathan, your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, it was funny when we first. I hadn't looked at the calendar, the invite to see who wrote on what when I first started going through these, and then I was trying to remember if it was possible I'd written on this one, which is really sad.
That happens.
I've written on a lot of Rick and Morty's, and so I think that's probably. But I realized I was like, I don't even remember this. Like I'm seeing every episode, but like for some reason I didn't remember this one at all. So it was fun to watch it again. And see the video was really funny. But as I've said many times, Rick and Morty's great. I don't know if there's anything else to be said about that. This looked like a really funny episode, like most of them are. Getting to resend the toe bending, I thought was great because I remember that. And once again, because I said whenever this was like early on in the show's history, we talked about this. I want to make it very clear: send those pics to Dicer. Do not send them to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And don't do it on Twitter either.
Yeah,
keep this private.
I don't want to see any of that. No offense. I don't like looking at feet, but that's just me. I'm the opposite of Quentin Tarantino.
No. It's not just you, Jonathan. There are plenty of us that feel the same way.
My question to that is that email? Is that like where does that go? Where does that route to? Because I wasn't even aware of that until I read the script.
So early on in Behind the Scenes history, Danae started just creating. Anytime we would come up with an email, she would create it. I don't know how many still exist, but I'm pretty sure that one does.
I've seen the list, and I think pretty much all of them do. So it's like send Jonathan a blanket is one of them, or teach Jonathan how blankets work.
Yeah, yeah. Because I told a story about how I had one of those like Snuggies or whatever, and when I stepped up, I was still in the blanket, so I just fell over. It was like an episode of the Flintstones or something.
This never gets old.
No, it really doesn't. No, I mean, I think that's hilarious. Like, I was so upset my wife didn't see it happen because we needed that on video. I love just the term wind salts, WIND, wind salts.
Nice.
My D's not coming across. Writers thinking someone could be this bad at business and also have a taint washer. was
That was a weird one to write. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
And like the lead-in on that one was really dark because the joke in the Rick and Morty, because he's talking about slavery. So like that was a really fun one. I was a bit worried about. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna put this one in, but you guys let me do it. So thank you.
Yep.
nice.
I like to connect all those themes. And right now, the people at home can't see it, but Ian and Jonathan are really uncomfortable.
I was about to say, on behalf of Aaron, he says you're welcome.
You guys just
because I know he was reviewing the script. Amazing. This is exactly how I eat spaghetti and meatballs. Like I eat I eat them separately. I eat the meatballs. Actually, no, I usually eat the spaghetti first, and then I eat all of the meatballs at the end because that's the best part. And then I scoop up the leftover sauce. But apparently that is wrong.
I think there's a lot of foods that people do stuff like that with.
I just felt called out by the video. That was all.
Well, I'm sure that felt like an Aaron thing, but I don't know. Daniel could have. Was it Aaron and Daniel that wrote
I'm willing to bet that. Yeah, Aaron and Daniel wrote it. I'm willing to bet Aaron wrote that one.
He wrote the peanut butter and jelly one too, right?
Yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
He's super weird about that, which I don't understand because the peanut butter and the jelly are going to connect. So I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, that man has made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it took an hour and a half. I was like, I'm not hungry anymore, but it was very, very thorough.
I'm over the peanut butter and jelly at this point. He's like Adrian Monk. He like gets one slide wrong, so he throws the bread away and then gets another
starts
one.
Again. Why have you gone through 3 loaves of bread? Amazing. The toe flexing I had as well. That was a really fun callback. The offense taken at Armathy, and then the originals. Like I could tell this was Aaron being punny. I imagine. With sleeve jobs and hand squish'em and almonds, but he missed out Armand Van Halen. Just well, that was right there that he missed it. And narrating your whipping is only acceptable if you have a problem and you whip it good. I love an Austin Powers.
I have to ask the question. I did not get the hand squish'em Anderson and Armsen. Like, what name is that supposed to be playing off of?
What was it again?
Hand arms. I've just deleted my notes.
Hand squish'em and Armsen. Hand squish'em and Armsen.
Hands squish'em and Armsen. I don't know either. I just thought it was really funny.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I wish Aaron was here. He is no doubt screaming if he ever listens. But until I get a message from Aaron, let's move in to Umbrella Academy. We only see each other at weddings and funerals, which was a Watkins Hughes script. Jonathan, take us away.
Umbrella Academy. I've seen. I have not watched any of the new season, but I've seen the first 2 seasons of the show, and I really, really like this cast. I think they are fun. They play off each other. They actually feel like brother and sisters, even though technically they aren't in the show either because they were all adopted. But they feel like people that have grown up together and have gotten tired of a lot of things, if you grow up in a household with siblings. But I don't, it's weird. I was talking to Danae about this because she was asking me some stuff about it when we were writing. And I'm just like, I don't know that I actually really like the show that much, but I have watched 20 episodes of it. But I don't even know if I'm going to watch the 3rd season. Like I've kind of I haven't made that decision yet. Or if I do, it's going to probably be a minute. But it's got a great cast. I think the cast is fun. It was fun doing this just because this was something that wasn't Rick and Morty, Disney, or Marvel. I mean, Marvel or Star Wars.
Yeah, it's totally different.
But if you watch the viewer count, now you know why we typically only do Star Wars. No, it's doing okay. It's not.
It's completely average, pretty much.
Yeah. It's not it's not tanking, but.
We should just do Rick and Morty exclusively, honestly. I think even if we re-released episodes we'd already done, they would still do well.
And it's still funny because we almost didn't do that. Like we were like, I don't think we could do this. I don't remember who was the one that was, no one was against it, but we were just like, I don't know if this is going to work. Thankfully, we did it. No, Umbrella Academy, yeah. So this was just, we thought we'd see how it did because the 3rd season was coming out. And I feel like this is also a show that was super popular in its first year, but then like the 2nd season, I feel like some of that's dipped off to the point where I kind of forgot it was even being released. But no, it was fun. Danae and I had fun with it. I don't know that there's anything it follows a kind of pretty, it sets up like kind of maybe there's a murder mystery, maybe there's not, but then it also sets up this mystery of what's going to happen in the future, and kind of sets up what the whole season's going to be about. Them trying to prevent this like annihilation or whatever. This
it feels a little bit like
apocalypse.
Heroes kind of
Yeah, a
setup,
little bit.
where you know the world is going to end and superpowered people try and save it. Although I guess that's the plot to every comic book movie ever.
That's
as well.
true. I also think it's odd though. Their team is like, as a team, like their powers don't necessarily like really play off each other that well. Like there's that scene in the bank, and I'm just like they should already be done with this, but they're like giving everybody a chance to use their power to do something. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like
No.
there's like 3 or 4 robbers. Like this should be over, and especially because you're going to get people killed and all kinds of stuff if you just keep going. But we have to have the guy disappear and then hit him with a hit him with a stapler or whatever. So but it was fun to do. I hope people enjoy it.
I will go next. Yeah, never watched the show. Remember being kind of excited about it when it launched, and then this was right at the phase where I was realizing that Netflix takes its sweet ass time to release shows. Like there are so many gaps between series, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to end up rewatching this in the future. So I'm going to wait until more seasons have come out, and then I'll rewatch it all at once. The problem with that is that you never end up watching the show. Like now, I've never ended up watching the show. Similar thing happened with Stranger Things. And I don't think I will. Like the buzz about it just hasn't been oomphy enough for me to like get invested, especially when this type of like property is so saturated in the market. Like I'm consuming so much comic book superhero type stuff. In order for it to be kind of something I'm going to invest in on a whim, I kind of need to know it's got some buzz about it. I got burnt by, what's that show? Jupiter?
Jupiter's Legacy or something, maybe?
I think it was Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah. And I really liked it, and they cancelled it. And I was like, well...
They cancelled that? I'm just finding this out now. I enjoyed it as well.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I thought it was great. Super original. Apparently, they're doing some spin-off of it about something I'm not interested in instead of doing a season 2. So I don't know.
Well, it's another. Is it Mark Millar? I think that does that. So I think it's another one of his properties. But it might be connected. I don't know.
It's in the universe, but totally separate to all of these people. I'm like, well, fine. So yeah, I guess I've been burnt one too many times.
No, I hear you.
In terms of the Sins video, yeah, man, this unsurprisingly, it didn't go anywhere to helping me work out what was going on in the show or like what this is really about. I felt the violin sin quite deeply because I think I've told the story where I got rejected from playing the violin because they handed me a violin, I played 3 notes, and they said no. You're going to have to try out for something else. I was like, but this is why I want lessons. If I can go in able to play the violin, why do I need lessons? Man, so dumb, so frustrating. They were looking for some natural talent or superpower, apparently.
Guess.
I'm taking the car, says the kid who can teleport. Just made me chuckle. It was very, very true. And acknowledging that the wind would not be ideal when scattering the ashes of your loved one. I was like, no, that's a terrible idea. That's you do not want the wind. Just scatter them more carefully. But yeah, so super fun Sins video. Daniel,
I pretty much had the same experience with it that you did, Ian. I think I watched like the first 2 episodes. Like when it came out, and then it just got away from me. I was watching some other shows at the time, and then I just never like circled back to it. But and yeah, I think that the similar nature to a lot of like other properties made it not as appealing. But I did enjoy it. But I do remember enjoying the show. I think like the 2 characters that stood out for me were number 5 and Klaus. So it's like the kid that teleports and is like doing his time travel stuff, and I don't remember what was Klaus's power again.
He can talk to like dead people and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I don't know how that helps in a bank robbery situation. I really don't. But
unless there's some hostages that have already been killed, and you're like, who did it? Which one's the robber? Which one shot you?
But the Sins, I like the wind one, which Ian already pointed out. That was one of the top ones. And did either of you guys bring up the stapler?
I just mentioned that scene, like just how silly that scene was, that they all had to wait to use each of these powers. But I just randomly mentioned.
Yeah, the sin is just like the setup is that's one badass stapler. But if I can take a stapler to the forehead and not pass out, a burglar could do the same. I was wondering, did that happen?
I didn't ask. I mean, Danae wrote that. I did not ask her if that was an actual.
I was just
thing,
wondering the story behind that. Yeah.
I mean, it's Danae, so I wouldn't be shocked. But
knowing Danae, I imagine that story is real, but I think she switched the narrator. So I imagine it was actually Aaron that took the stapler to the head from Danae, and she knows that he survived it. Is how I imagine that story went.
And that's probably why they did it. Like, it was probably a test. You know, like, I wonder if I could not have any head injuries if you hit me with a stapler.
Hey, Aaron, we're planning to rob a bank. We need to try out some eventualities just in case you get hit in the head with a stapler.
And the last the lesson I wanted to point out was the one where there's a fight in the courtyard and Luther accidentally punches a statue in the crotch. And the sin is just punching your dead sibling statue in the dick. I just love those sort of matter of fact ones where it's just like,
yeah, those are fun.
You just see something and you're just like, I just have to point that out. Really, that's all I have to do.
as if it's the most common thing in the world that happens every day. It's like, man, I hate it when people accidentally punch their dead sibling statues in the crotch. That's amazing. Okie dokie, let's head into CinemaSins. I am so excited to talk about this one. We're starting off with The Batman. This is an Atkinson Scott OG crew script, and it is so funny. This video is so good. But before we talk about that, I'm going in to talk about The Batman, and my god, is this film boring! I really wanted to... I was so positive going in. I was like, it's fine. Doesn't matter that it's 3 hours. Robert Pattinson looks fantastic as the Batman. I like that we're seeing the Riddler. I love Paul Dano. I don't understand where Colin Farrell is in this film, but I really like the idea of this movie. And it just bored the tits off me. And the score is incredible. It's fantastic. It's the only thing that kept me going. And it's just... I get that people love it because it's like the first, Batman is a detective movie. But he's only a detective because everyone else is so bad at being a detective. And I swear it's Alfred that actually does most of the detectiving. And it's just... For me, it was just so pondery and self-indulgent that it lost any fun or character. But that's me probably being too miserable about the movie. But I think the guys did a great job of sinning it. I absolutely died with the two Little Caesars jokes. So good. Murders, robbery, assault, Little Caesars. It's so great. And then everyone's in on it. The police, the courts, Little Caesars. And man, they had like a real issue with like skylights in this Sins video, didn't they? Like, I didn't realize how often skylights appear in Batman things, but when I thought back to like the animated series, there's a lot of skylight crashing in that as well. Like, Gotham has, for like a place that is mostly rainy, there's a lot of skylights that don't seem to be necessary at all.
It's really weird too how you never know the sins that are going to cause the most commotion in the comments and stuff, but that one definitely.
Yes.
People like, there's crank systems, dumbass.
You can use 2 ropes. It's okay.
There absolutely is a stick with a hook on it. I think that was one of them.
Yes. Which is not what she does. This is what we're sending. All of the things you're listing, she does not do any of them.
No.
She tugs down a rope that she was on. And gradually exaggerating how long the movie is, just gradually saying, this 4-hour movie, this 7-hour movie, was great, because that's exactly how it felt. Jonathan, what were your thoughts on the Batman in the video?
I don't disagree with a lot you're saying. I liked the movie a little. I think there's enough, but I still, it's too long, and you're right about that whole thing about he's never shown as the world's greatest detective. Well, this was supposed to be year 2, so he wouldn't have been the world's greatest detective now anyways, but I just think that gets overblown a little bit. And I mean, if you really want to see that, just, I don't know, read the comics. But and that's the other thing. Like, I mean, he is a really good detective, but that's gotten way overblown. It's kind of become the thing people have, like I think people complain about that, so I'll complain about it too.
Pretty much.
I did like the aesthetic though I love him walking on into the crime scene with Gordon. There's something
that
about
actually was
that.
original.
when he's like walking through, all the police are looking at him and questioning why he's there. Rightfully so, questioning why he's there, by the way. Like, Gordon is out of his mind. It's like, how did you ever become commissioner?
Oh, it's crazy.
Pulling crap like this. But I will also say one other thing that bothered me about this movie, other than it being too long. Well, there's a couple things. Riddler is interesting, kind of. Maybe there is a Riddler arc that I'm not aware of where he's the Zodiac killer, but I'm not positive that's ever happened in the comics. But if you're going to do that, that's fine, but like at least stick to it, because then when you get to that point, which that's some of my favorite sins, when you get to the point where his final thing is he's going to drown Gotham, that seems more like something the Riddler in the comics would do. Yeah. Not like a serial killer sending letters and stuff to the...
Or Jim Carrey's Riddler.
Yeah.
Is it canon that Gotham is below sea level?
I have no idea.
It is now.
It's also across the bay from Metropolis, if you didn't know. According to other movies. But the other thing, the mass shooting scene in this movie is really weird, and I haven't heard a lot of people... I talked about this at Sin Week with Frank, because I know he kind of felt the same. So I don't care that the movie did this. I mean, there's mass shootings in a lot of movies, and I don't think about it. But for some reason in this one... just the fact of what happened in real life at the Dark Knight Rises theater, the theater where the people got killed when Dark Knight Rises came out. Yeah. It just felt odd, like
almost in poor taste, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they're not in a theater or anything. I mean, obviously, if it had been in a theater, something that would have been poor taste. I mean, they're in a different setting, but still, that's just immediately that's where my brain went, and so I was like, I'm really uncomfortable right now. Like, I don't want to watch this anymore. So that kind of took me out of the movie. So I definitely liked it better than you. I didn't really dislike it, but I can't argue with a lot of the things you said. But it's not anything like, it's probably not a movie I'm ever going to watch again. I don't think.
And that's what's really disappointing for me. Like, I really love Batman. He's one of my favorite heroes, as he is for a lot of people, I think. And I want Batman films to be rewatchable, and that's a tall order when you make them 4.5 hours long. But 4.5 hours long and not super engaging. I don't know. This feels like the opposite of an Obi-Wan problem. Like, this felt like it would have been a really good 6-part miniseries as opposed to a huge film.
Well, and I hate this. Like, everything's got to be setting up some sort of franchise now, or some sort of trilogy.
Yeah.
It's like, just make a movie. Like, just and then if it's and I think like Batman Begins, I could be wrong, but. And I'm sure they were thinking about the possibility of sequels. I mean, they put that Joker card thing at the end of it. But I still feel like Batman Begins was just like a movie. Like, they were just making a movie. And then if it did well, they would make some sequels.
100%.
This really felt like they were setting up like 30 different things for us to follow, into the next film. And I'm just like, I think that's where a lot of the tiring stuff comes from. Yeah. It's just like, just take a storyline. Someone even mentioned in the comments that the Riddler was acting more like Hush, and that's a good point, because that's a Batman villain that nobody really knows. Just do a story. There's like so many Batman stories out there. Just pick one and adapt it. I mean, that's all you got to do. And then
it's crazy. It's gonna make money. It's a Batman film.
And then if you want to make a sequel to that, great. If you want to make a different Batman story in 3 years, that's cool too. Like, we don't
Even
really
better.
care.
No. Yeah, it's wild.
That's a whole other conversation, though.
Daniel, thoughts on the movie and the Sins video?
Yeah, I think we're all like pretty much in agreement about the movie. You guys covered a lot of what I was feeling about it too. Let's see. I watched this like right when it came out on HBO Max, so it wasn't that long ago. But like, there's so much of this movie I don't remember, which
that's fair.
It's not really. It's not a really great sign. Like, I remember that I enjoyed the look of it. There was a lot of attention to the aesthetic and the design of everything, which I think was really cool. I mean, I love the Batmobile in this one. I had watched a bit of a behind the scenes on the CG and effects, and like, the lighting is really, really cool in this movie. And some of it is like they filmed a lot of it like the Mandalorian on the LED stages. So like the rooftop scenes and whatnot are like, you get like these like beautiful sunsets and stuff like that they were able to do with that, which I think was really cool. But there was like some weird things that just took me completely out of the movie. Like, one of them was that the chase scene with the Penguin, and Like that was such an intense moment. Batman in that moment is downright terrifying. And then like the scene that follows that is almost like a comedic bit that they're doing between the three characters there. And like there was this weird juxtaposition there that just like I was like, this doesn't feel like the same movie and doesn't, and like they're both good, both pieces are good, but they just don't feel like they belong together. And
it feels strange because that's like Penguin is not the big bad of this movie, and I think that's why you have the best scene is that car chase, and it's super climactic, super tense. But it doesn't matter because Penguin isn't really the person we give a shit about in this movie. So I think that's why you're right, it comes off as very, very jarring.
Playing right off of that, one of the sins I want to point out was about the chase. He said, "We've slowed the footage here so you can process how the universe utterly gifted Batman a sudden ramp here. Ramp ex machina. I hate it. At least in Dark Knight Rises, Batman shot a missile to detach the coupling and create the truck ramp." That happened so fast in the movie, but I when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, that's ridiculous.
It's so dumb. Like, it's dumb that it happens, and it's dumb that he reacts quick enough to take advantage of it.
There could have just been a Batman survives this sin, because like if that didn't happen, like he just crashes into like a pile up and is immediately killed.
Piles under the truck. Yeah, that's wild.
The one where it's weird to me that everyone's just going to make the mayor-elect who just got shot a minute ago walk on her own power through this water, because that bothered me too when I was watching it. Like, not only does she have to walk through the water, but like she has an open bullet wound, and this is like, this is like floodwater is like some of the dirtiest water that exists, and it's just like let me just walk with this open wound through just wade through this waist deep water with this wound and bacteria infested muck.
I will say I love that scene of Batman leading everyone out of under the red torchlight out of the thing. So many shots that I wish weren't in the fucking trailer, because it was like nothing was a shock when I came to watch the film. I was like, I've seen, even for a 3-hour movie, I've managed to see almost everything in the trailer. I'm not going to get on the dinosaur.
Was that the first responder thing where they took a scent off?
Yeah,
I guess that was cool. I still find that odd though. Like, not that, like, I mean, you like what you like in a movie, but I've seen a lot of people make a comment about that in like non-CinemaSins related. And I mean, I didn't mind it, but like, I don't know why that makes it a better movie, because they just decided to make Batman a first responder. Like, that's just.
I think it's because it's new. It's not something we often see. It's usually him fighting the big bad, but this is him.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Kind of more of a grassroots, ground up, look after the people first. Usually, like, fuck the people. I'm going to chase the one single bad guy.
Yeah, like the end of the Avengers, and they're just
exactly. Well, Man of Steel, exactly. Yes,
no, that's fair. No, that's a good point. It just didn't hit me the same for whatever reason. I didn't have a problem with it. Yeah. I was like, damn Batman for saving people, but
fuck you, terrible person.
I was just trying to figure out why that made it more, but what Ian's saying makes sense. So I'm with that.
I enjoyed it as a scene in the movie, but there was something about the progression of it that it felt like the movie should have ended already. Like it just, there was like, to me, there was like a bunch of false endings in this film, and like that always annoys me. And so it's like I like the scene, but I didn't like where they put it in, like how it came about.
Totally get it.
Somebody also mentioned in the comments that "you're not my real dad" thing. God, that was irritating. Like, like that just when he tells Alfred, like that just comes out of nowhere. Like, you're not my dad. Like,
just don't need it. Like, I want them to be buddies. Like, I don't need this artificial conflict between them.
And I like Pat. I think Pattinson did a really good job, and he could only do what he was working with. But some of the like super like emo stuff, I was kind of like, I don't like this very much. Like, I don't like this. Yeah.
Too much. Okay, let's move into Mitchell's versus the Machines. This was a Dicer Scott script. Has anybody seen Mitchell versus the Machines?
I have not.
No, I hadn't seen it. I mean, obviously, I watched the video.
Amazing. So I guess I'll go first because that was going to be my launching point. I haven't seen it either. Movie looks great. What can I say? Like, it's this looks like an enjoyable movie. You can tell the films that the writers really enjoy because there's a heck ton of sin removals, and like almost every sin becomes a defense of the movie. I was like, no, believe me, this movie's great, but this is wrong. I love it when we get a little bit protective of the properties that we're sinning. yeah, it looks like a good movie. I enjoyed it and the Sins video.
It got really good ratings on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. So
it feels like people are saying that this should have won the Oscar as opposed to Encanto, and I like Encanto, but even though I haven't seen this movie, I kind of agree. I think it would have been nice to see something slightly more out of left field to win rather than your classic Disney stuff.
What about this? Like, I'm basing this only on the video, but like, what would you say makes it out of left field?
I think it's just kind of like the kookiness of some of the animation and how it's presented. I like it's only from watching the Sins video, but some of it seems to be a bit more. It's like even the opening bit, the way some of like the stuff is scribbled on the screen. I can't picture any of it now, but it just Encanto felt a little bit paint by numbers, and this feels a little bit more imaginative, perhaps. But that's going to be a lot of Lord and Miller as well, where they're a bit more fourth wall breaky and just in general tend to be a little bit more original. In terms of the sins, I loved opening it with a haha, I bet you're wondering how this sin got here. Well, it all started when the movie did the same thing, and it does a wondering how you got here. It's probably my all-time most irritating movie trope is the 15 days earlier, and then you go back to the middle of the film at some point. It's so frustrating. You end up just waiting to get back to that point, and it just seems to stall the momentum, and it's just a lazy way of getting some excitement in the movie when just open your movie where you're going to open your movie.
For sure.
Having 23 tabs open when you aren't actively writing a sin script, I felt that. In fact, sometimes I'll have like 2 different browsers open because I'll be logged into 2 different Chrome profiles, but some have access to different things. So I'll have like 20 tabs on 2 different browsers.
That makes me anxious just thinking about you guys having tabs open. I always, once I'm done, I close it. I usually have 4 or 5 open because of like I have to have YouTube open, and I usually have the IMDb page open. And then sometimes I have like Gmail and Slack open in case someone's trying to get a hold of me. But whenever I do research, I immediately close that tab once I'm done because I'm weird. So
I'm right there with you, Jonathan. Right there with you.
I like collect them. I just keep them all open. Maybe I need to go back to how do alligators swim in floodwater. You never know. I may need that tab open.
It's called a bookmark, Ian. It's a bookmark.
Were you on the show then when Aaron did he pulled open all the tabs for like all the videos, like how he prepares for BTS?
Oh no, I don't.
So like everything started doing started doing the bong, bong, bong.
Yes, bong, 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 because he doesn't start playing, man. Yeah, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Daniel.
I love the movie. No, I just said I didn't watch it. Yeah,
I think I would love this movie.
I think I would.
I had seen. I'd heard about it. It was kind of the weird thing about this movie is that like I hadn't heard about it up until like a point, and it was like well after like everyone had watched it already, and then like I got a random recommendation for like a movie trailer or something, and then it was this movie, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then like I looked at the views, it's like 20-30 million views on the trailer alone. And then like I looked up all the ratings, and like people loved it. And like I don't know how I got like boxed out of like the circled influence of this film, but yeah, like I knew nothing about it until maybe just like a month or 2 ago. So it was very strange.
Marketing specifically said, make sure this guy doesn't get any material about this movie. He is not going to watch it.
Yeah, no, I was dodging that like bullets in the Matrix. Yeah. The sins, I like. This Michigan license plate doesn't have the Pure Michigan slogan at the top of it, which has been standard for a while, although the bumper stickers all over the back are certainly Pure Michigan. So the sin either way is Ohio. And yeah, I just always enjoy those. I have a friend in Ohio that I constantly send those Ohio memes to, like just
nice.
So I get a kick out of that.
Also, tell me Aaron Dicer wrote a sin without telling me Aaron Dicer wrote a sin. If it's mentioning Michigan, Dicer wrote it.
Especially if it's in a positive way.
Yeah.
I forget what script it was, but I wrote in Ohio, I wrote a sin basically shitting on Ohio, and everyone thought Dicer wrote it, and I didn't know why. I had to ask him. I was like, why does that? Yeah. No one thinks I'm capable of this. Like, I got offended.
You're better than that, Daniel.
It's all in love. I don't want to anger anyone that is listening that might be in Ohio. I've been to your state a few times and always enjoyed myself. Thank you.
But fuck Delaware.
I'm not gonna touch that one because we're all gonna get canceled for hating on Delaware somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Delaware state legislature is going to come down on us because they have nothing else to do because they're running Delaware. So.
Yes.
One of the other sins, like one is like the AI is like it's time to tear the Mitchell family apart, and then she seems much too fixated on this family. Her goal is to rid Earth of humanity, and she's completed 99% of that goal. This is like getting to the top of Mount Everest, but not feeling like you've accomplished anything till you stand up on your tippy toes there. Is that the worst analogy I've ever made? I think it might be. Yeah,
Yep,
it felt like a pretty good criticism of the movie. And then I'm curious, but always enjoy when like the sins are self-referential and there's a word for it, but I'm
meta.
Yes, there you go. And at the end there, the movie, where they showed like the picture of like an actual family, I thought that was super weird because I have no idea who that family was. But and then like the baby or the dog from the movie is like morphs into like the child, like the baby in the family. And
I think it's Lord or Miller's family. I think it's one of them.
Okay,
interesting.
I remember reading that somewhere, but again, this coming from the guy who hasn't seen the movie, so
yeah, we're gonna give you a lot of great facts about Mitchell versus the Machine.
Uh-huh.
And like that kid is gonna be like pissed about that at a certain point in like growing up. It's gonna be like, you made me the dog. You made me the dog.
Which is why it kind of makes sense that it might be one of the writers that did it.
Yeah,
amazing. Jonathan, give us your detailed analysis of Mitchell versus the Machine.
I'll tell you, I'm surprised I have. Well, so this came out this was like a couple months after the pandemic started, right? It was that because this was going to be a theatrical release, and I think Netflix made that deal with Sony, and then they decided to just release it on Netflix. I guess I don't even think theaters were back open at that point.
No, I don't think so.
Because I want to say it was like that April or May. But so my daughter, because she couldn't go like hang out with her friends, they would do a lot of Netflix like watch parties and stuff. Mm-hmm. So she watched this so a lot of movies I would have watched with her, she was watching with her friends, and so I just never got around to it. And this was just one of them. I hate that I've missed it though. I've heard so many great things about it. And including my daughter really liked it, but I just haven't. I don't know. It's also not that this is going to stop me from watching it, but I will say an animated movie that's like almost 2 hours kind of throws me off a little bit.
It's strange, isn't it? Because they're usually a tight 90. But
yeah, it's like animated movies and like horror movies when they're over like 95 minutes or like 100 minutes. I'm always
you gotta be good.
I don't know about this one, but
getting ideas above their station.
But obviously, because people are gonna like say there's this and that. Yeah, there's obviously exceptions to that rule, but that does at least give me pause. Because you think like, oh, this will just be like 80 minutes. I'll go watch, and then you realize it's like 30 more minutes than that. And you're like, oh, I don't have time to watch that. Never mind. As far as the sins, what kind of donut shop also sells lottery tickets at a school crossing?
Yes,
I really liked. And then the whole thing about like they showed YouTube, but then they started doing PAL video instead.
So weird, isn't it?
And then there's that sin where it's like, what if the Mitchells had paid for a PAL video premium? How would we ever know what was going on then? Because they wouldn't have gotten the news. The hiding the nakedness from the camera, the non-existing camera instead of the neighbors.
That's so great.
Yeah, those neighbors were just seeing a lot of ass. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then have we mentioned the fabled lost city of Nids yet? I thought that was really...
I had that on my notes. Yeah, it's so good. Gnid, the reverse ding.
Very cool. But I need to watch this movie. And I don't think I was concerned because I was going to try to watch it before and I just didn't have time this week because I've had to do a bunch of stuff to get ready to go out of town. But I don't think that video ruined me from because it actually made me want to see it a little more, I think. Yeah. So.
There's kind of an interesting story. Well, I don't know if it's an interesting story, but like, I guess this was it was a Sony Pictures, Sony animation film that got pushed from its theatrical release by COVID. And then, I don't know, I guess they sold the distribution rights to Netflix. So
well, Netflix made a deal with Sony because Sony doesn't have their own platform. Like they're I think they're the only big studio that doesn't have their own streaming platform. So they made a deal with Netflix. And I think they have a deal with other people too. But I just remember around that time, there was something. And then they just decided, they might have already decided to release it straight to streaming before the pandemic. I'm not sure, but I know it was something around that time. So.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Well, the takeaway from that is we should all go and watch Mitchell versus the Machines. Okay, let's head into the comment section.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We'll each pick a comment from last week's content from the various places you reach out: Discord, YouTube, Reddit, or the CSPN YouTube channel network place. Daniel, you first. So.
I had a couple, but I found one at the last minute that seems to have trumped them all. So
Nice.
We're going to go with that. It is from I think this was Umbrella Academy. I'm pretty sure. So
see if there's any context clues.
The comment is, did the Sin guy just start taking a shit mid-sin? If so, well played. I commend your boldness. But it was in response to the Sin was when the narrator's going, but not this or this, and it's like making grunting noises.
Yeah,
and
that was Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. And I was wondering if do we have like a backstory on what the narrator might have actually been doing?
Danae wrote the Sin, so
so no, we don't have the backstory for that. But I can, knowing Danae's brain, I would imagine it was, hey, Aaron, grunt. Just do some grunts. And I imagine he had some hand signals that were going all over the place. Amazing.
Fair enough, but yeah, for a second I thought that. I was like, I don't know if this is landing quite, or maybe that was the intention. And I was like, I don't know. But then like someone confirmed that it might sound like that in the comments.
It could do. I mean, we may never know. Jonathan.
We kind of talked about this a little bit with the runtime for Batman, how the video was kind of making fun of kept changing how long it was. So I really like this comment from that video. As you know, I actually like the fact that the movie was 8 hours long. I mean, I get that some people might get bored or lose focus or want to go to the bathroom sometime in that 9-hour period. But I thought it was good for the pacing of the story, and I had a good 10 hours to spare that weekend, so why not? If anything, I think most studios should be willing to commit to 11-hour runtimes.
I love it. That was really, really great. Could have been the Sin. I've got two. The first one's from Rick and Morty, from Singing Meloetta, which I wonder if that's a Star Trek reference, because in Gambit, Worf requests a Klingon opera song, which was "Do you know Melota?" And if that's a TNG reference, awesome, well done.
I think you're the only person that remembers anything from Gambit, so I could be wrong.
Hey, Gambit is a perfectly fine two-part.
No, I remember Gambit being good, but I haven't seen it in 20 years, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I keep going
It's a two-parter, right?
It's a two-parter, yeah. It's a random
seven
two-parter
seasons.
in
It's like
season
pirates
7.
take over the Enterprise or something.
That's it.
Yeah.
And Picard becomes a pirate, basically. Anyway, the actual comment was, I'm so glad you guys haven't seen Fairly Odd Parents, especially the pilot episode, as I see it was a fun time. And I feel like there was some reverse psychology going there, as in, I'm so glad you haven't seen this thing. I think you should sin it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll sin Fairly Odd Parents. I do love that. And then my other one was from M. Forrest from the Umbrella Academy. Whenever I comment on TV sins, I don't have anything good to say. Potato salad. Yes, with that, let's head into nitpicking the nitpickers of the Nitpickers.
But we wouldn't want to nitpick, right, Danny?
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more.
Actually,
Oops. What do you mean, oops?
Missed it by that much.
am I just going to nitpick everyone until they leave me?
I take a look at some actuallys from the comments, and we decide together if the commenter was green, yellow, or red. I've actually only got one this week, which means we must have got everything right. Well done,
I guess so.
Team.
Yeah.
Well done. We got all of the things correct.
Because Ian wasn't writing on anything.
You know what? You are absolutely correct. I didn't write on a thing this week, which is why it's all factually accurate. I quit. So this was from the Batman, and the sin was, taking your phone with you when you go out and break into places seems like not a smart idea. And I think I've just realised that this isn't even. I think this person is agreeing with us. I think the sin was vaguely like, why wouldn't you take your phone out with you? And then the commenter is like, hey, detective, these high-end burglaries seem like they all might have been done by the same person, so we traced their phone. And the tech guy's like, no, nobody would be stupid enough to do that. And nope, looks like Selena had her phone on her the entire time. It was her that did all of the robberies, and they trace her by using the phone. So I think they're saying it makes sense to not have your phone with you because that could be traced by the police.
Yeah, there are ways to turn your location services off and stuff, right? But I guess if there's high enough tech, it can still figure out some
Ping
way.
the cell phone tower.
Okay.
You could just like put it on airplane mode, I guess, and then turn it back on when you need it. What do you think, Daniel? If you were robbing banks, would you bring your phone with you? Multiple different banks, would you bring a mobile telephone device with you?
No, not at all. I think that's a bad idea. I think that if you've watched like any of the Bourne movies, like you should break that thing in half and throw it in a river before you do anything illegal.
Yeah, snap the SIM card.
In that last Terminator movie, Linda Hamilton was carrying it around in a bag of potato chips, I remember.
Yep, that worked. Man, that was really weird, wasn't it? That did work.
I would like to know about if that like is based on real science or if they just made that up.
No, there is something about.
I'm just going to say no, it isn't.
I don't think it is, but there is like some. I don't know. There is something about. I can't remember why it's specifically like potato chips that somebody knows, but yeah, I don't know that it's factual, but there are like I guess at least theories. I don't know. Now I brought that up.
All I know about that is that science tells me that tinfoil hats work. Why I always wear one. Okay, with that, let's head into, and I'm so glad I get to do this intro, the Sinpository.
History became legend.
The past is past.
Let's look at some statistics.
To the library!
Careful, Chief. You dig up the past, all you get is dirty.
We insert ourselves into the Sins repository, or Sinspository, if you will, as Jonathan probes the annals of Sin's history for a video we can reassess in both individual parts and the whole. Jonathan!
So this week, we are talking about the Transformers, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the live-action Michael Bay stuff. This is the Transformers movie, the animated movie that came out in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Animation in the 80s was weird. I think it's interesting. I mean, not weird like they were trying new things, but it was just animated movies did not do that well in the 80s. It was really when Disney kind of had their new renaissance, like they kind of came back after Little Mermaid was 89, but then throughout the 90s, you had Disney making these big hit movies. But that wasn't happening in the 80s. In fact, Disney, weirdly, that's the thing I think is so funny about people that have only grown up thinking Disney is like this big juggernaut.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be.
No.
It was on its last leg in the 80s. Making terrible live action movies that felt like they were from the 1960s and making animated movies that no one cared about, like Oliver and Company. And not saying that all these movies aren't bad. I'm not saying the movies are bad, but I'm just saying they weren't huge hits. They weren't anything like they are today. And we definitely didn't have like 5 big studio animation, companies making all these crazy movies. So Hasbro decided to get involved in making a movie for based on the Transformers because it was very popular. This was 2 years after it had premiered. So this movie came out after like the second season.
Oh wow, that's super early. That's way earlier than I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Batman movie from the 60s where that came out like after, like they filmed that after the first season of the show. It kind of reminded me of that. Yeah. I was not a Transformers kid. I don't know if either of you were. I don't know where Transformers were when you guys were kids.
So mine
I was a kid when they first came out in 84.
Mine was like hypersaturation where everything had to be. We were like the third generation. So you had like the animal Transformers, the like alien Transformers, like everything had to have like a different tie-in, like the Power Rangers series. But I just had the toys. I had so many Transformers toys I loved together and pulling them apart. Loved it.
Yeah. Were you a Transformers guy, Daniel?
I had a phase. I remember there was I don't remember which show it was, but there was a show that would come on like before school, like every day. And I remember like watching that, and I feel like they were like dinosaurs.
Autobots, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember watching that for a while. I never saw this movie at all, and beyond that phase, I wasn't really into the toys. I thought I was always kind of pissed at the toys because like I was really into cars and like planes and stuff. But like so like everything would transform, but like the pieces wouldn't always stay in place necessarily after you like played with it for a while. So then you ended up with a car that didn't really work well as a car, or like a plane that didn't really work well as a plane anymore, and like an action figure that it was clunky to say the least.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really into the toys or the films, and then by the time like the Transformers like live action movies came out, then I didn't care anymore.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I never really got into. I had a lot of friends that collected them and loved them, and so I would play with them sometimes. But I just don't remember having a lot on my own. I was more like He-Man and Thundercats was another one I really liked when I was a kid. So I kind of got more into the fantasy swords and stuff, which is weird because that's like something I don't really watch that much of anymore. But as a kid, I guess that just drew me in more because I didn't watch G.I. Joe either. I didn't have any kind of like interest in that either. But I still knew a lot about it because like everyone was playing with G.I. Joe in the mid 80s. So, but I did see this movie, but I didn't see it till I was an adult. I didn't see it when it came out. So this is a really weird movie to watch for the first time as an adult. So this came out on August 6th, 1986. It was just 2 years, like I said, after the series premiere. Directed by Nelson Shin. He was also a producer on the series. What's weird about this movie is that it was purposeful doing this. It kills off a lot of the main characters. Like that was the thing at the time. I don't recall because I didn't watch it. I don't recall, but what I was reading about it, there were kids just screaming and crying when Optimus Prime dies in the theater. But what the idea was, Hasbro was like, we'll kill off all these and then we'll create new toys and that'll be a whole new line, and so we'll make even more money. But people didn't want the new stuff. They wanted Optimus Prime back. So what's so fun?
So that they were just like, we'll kill them and then give them new ones.
I read a quote from somebody from Hasbro. It was just like, we had no idea this would upset. I mean, they're toys, you know. It was like, so it has just no idea. And I think also you have to understand, I mean, movies weren't really made for kids for a long time. Like they would make some movies that would appeal to kids, but like what are called family movies, quote unquote, in the 80s is so different than family movies now.
Yeah.
So kids weren't really something that was really so I just have a feeling this was an old guy, you know, that was just didn't understand the connection that kids could have with these characters, and so they just assumed it would be fine and they would be happy they had new toys to play with, but they were like, no, we want the old stuff. So
that is where original creativity died with the Transformers the movie. It's like, well, if kids don't want new things, we're just going to rehash the old stuff.
Blame the Transformers the movie. And Optimus Prime obviously was brought back, and I think some of the other ones were too.
Of course.
This was the final film featuring Orson Welles, which is really...
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. He voices Unicron, and apparently his voice, because he was already sick, his voice was so weak, they had to do a bunch of stuff like post recording to make it even sound like where people could understand it. The soundtrack for the movie is pretty popular too, especially at the time. It had some like Weird Al's Yankovic's Dare to Be Stupid's on there. This song called The Touch, which was kind of popular around that time, which was actually supposed to be in a Stallone movie called Cobra, but they ended up using it in this instead. And there's even a glam metal cover of the Transformers theme song by this group called Lion. And I actually know who they are, but the only reason I know who they are is because they did this song called Love Is a Lie, which is in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
That's how I knew that song. Yeah, it's nice. Like, it's a horror thing. Okay, Jonathan.
Yeah.
This movie was not a hit, nor should it be, because it's not a very good movie. Although it's developed a cult following, and a lot of people will say it's better than the Michael Bay movies. It might be. I mean, that actually might be fair.
Yeah, but that's like saying it's better than having a hernia. Like, that's
exactly.
not...
The first, I don't think I've seen the last couple of Transformer movies. The first one I remember having moments I like.
The first one's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Still got
everything
a lot
else
of
is garbage.
Michael Bay things in it that irritate me. And Bumblebee, I know, was popular. I thought Bumblebee was okay. I didn't really get why people were just head over, like, we're like, oh, hey, we finally have like a really good Transformers movie. And I was like, do we?
Well, it's comparative, isn't it? Like compared to like the Last Night or whatever that last Transformers movie was, it probably is a masterpiece.
Yeah, where they apparently, I've kind of always been morbidly curious about that movie because I know they tie in like King Arthur with the Transformers, which I find fascinating. but I'm sure it's terrible.
Just an excuse to give Optimus Prime a big sword.
But those movies are hits for the most part. I don't think Last Night was a big hit, but the other ones are. This movie was not a hit. On its opening weekend, it finished in 14th place. It was behind About Last Night, which, for a comparison, had been in theaters for 5 weeks at that point. It couldn't even. Yeah. Hasbro lost an estimated $10 million that year because they also had a film based on My Little Pony, and neither one of those movies obviously did well. It finished 99th.
Did they kill a pony?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I didn't look into that one. I didn't have to, but I remember it coming out. Man, I'm telling you, man, there were so many weird animated movies in the 80s, like so much just... I mean, a lot of it was IP. Some of it was IP, but it was just, I don't know. People just clearly didn't know. No. There are really, really good animated movies that come out of the 80s. Don't get me wrong.
I want to see that movie where My Little Pony character just gets slaughtered left, right, and center.
No kidding. Let's make that. But it finished 99th at the box office. Transformers did. It made $5.8 million, and the budget was around $6 million, so it didn't make its money back.
No.
It finished right in between Highlander and The Hitcher, which are two much better movies. And also My Little Pony, bringing that up again, it was 97th at the box office. So yeah. This originally aired on the CinemaSins channel on June 20th of 2017. That was the week Transformers: The Last Night was released, so that was
makes sense.
That was the tie-in. It's a little over 20 minutes and 1.9 million views as of today. A lot of sins about Orson Welles being involved, which makes sense because it was kind of like the narrator's like, what the fuck? Like when the credit comes up or whatever. So yeah, that was, and you know, I thought it was a really funny video, but I will let you guys talk about what you thought. But I will say if you guys want to know about stuff like what we're if you guys want to read more about stuff like this, we have a newsletter that comes out every week. You can subscribe to it on the website, and that's where on cinemasins.com, that's where I get that's how I know what movie we're going to be covering that week, like from the vault or whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of other fun stuff on there, so I highly recommend. It's free. I hope I'm saying that right. I can't imagine.
No, the newsletter is free. I don't know if anybody has charged for a newsletter since 1979.
I know, exactly. Unless we're like on Substack or something. But newsletter's free. You just go, I think, put in your email on the website, and you'll get one every week. It's fun.
Emails, how do they work?
Yeah.
Daniel, did you see the Sins video?
Yes, I did. Did one of the Sins say that this was Orson Welles' last film? Or
well, I was saying that it is Orson. Yeah, it is his last film. Okay. I don't know if a Sin said that. I don't remember, but
I thought it did. But that's a wild thing. I looked up that whole sequence with the Weird Al Yankovic song. Like you can find it on YouTube, and that is a weird song to begin with. But it's even weirder in the context that they use it. And I just want to know who
thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I should look up who like the music supervisor was or something. And
yeah, he's like, hey, you know what would be great in this scene?
There's nothing to lose, is there? It's just, I guess we'll just throw it at the wall because no one's going to see it.
That was my favorite thing when I was a kid, though, because I still am a huge Weird Al Yankovic fan, but that was like, oh, wow, his song's in this movie, you know? Although now, if you get excited about somebody's song in a movie, you get in trouble because you didn't discover them in a better way.
Oh, I knew about them.
Because everyone has to be an asshole about everything.
So. Yeah. Oh, well, they've sold out now. Their first 2 albums are really the best.
Yeah, you should have been listening to Kate Bush. I know you're only 5, but you should be listening to Kate Bush already.
Oh man, just let people like what they like.
I didn't know.
Amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know that song. I heard the Placebo.
The Kate Bush song or the Weird Al song?
The Kate Bush. I heard the Placebo version, Running Up a Hill, first.
Nice.
So I honestly didn't know it was a cover till it was like in the 2000s sometimes, but it was long after.
Get off the show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. No, I really like this song. So there's a band called Cracker. That's probably what they're more. But the lead singer, he also had a band called Camper Van Beethoven. And this is like in the 80s, they did this song Pictures of Matchstick Men, and it's like always been one of my favorite songs. I just found out like 8 or 9 years ago that was a cover. I had no idea it was a cover. It was a cover from a song like in the 60s or something.
Amazing.
Or 70s. And I was like, wow, it's crazy sometimes how you don't know. And I'm sure people on Twitter would call me a horrible person because of that. So
they would be correct.
answer my own question here. It really doesn't pay me that this was Orson Welles' last performance, since I'm sure he was paid well, but the fact that his heavily processed voice is coming out of an animated robotic space butthole makes me view Touch of Evil through a slightly different lens.
Oh, it's so good.
And then the other one was this, that Dare to Be Stupid was like, they did a short lead in with the song, and then it just says Weird Al Yankovic would be amazing at CinemaSins, just because it was just like, this movie is daring to be stupid.
As
right
he
now.
would.
Oh man, if we could do a team up with Weird Al Yankovic, that would be incredible. I mean, his film's coming out. We should sing VHS or UHC. UHF? UHF.
His movie. You're talking about the biopic, right? You're talking about the Daniel Radcliffe is playing him.
Yeah.
That's coming here at least. It's coming. It's going to be on Roku TV, which is a free ad service. It's the.
Oh, well,
that's movies are. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be in theaters at all.
That's
I know it's going to be
strange,
but maybe in England it'll be in theaters. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, we know him, but he's not like America big. And that's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you are subscribed, and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. Got anything you want to send us? Mail it to PO Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. Hang out with us on Twitter. We're at Whitsind. We are at SamLoomis13, and Daniel is the only one smart enough to not have Twitter. So for Jonathan Watkins, DC Comics, Potato Salad, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy National Handshake Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/bts.
Hello. What up? And welcome to Behind the Sins, everybody. There's no Aaron. Let's press all the buttons. How you doing, guys?
Are you talking to us or the audience?
Well, I mean, considering this is a podcast recording, I'm going to talk to the people that have microphones in front of them. Right. Have I got the right banner on for us? Oh, wow. My internet just tanked. Okay. If you suddenly lose me, do not worry. That'll be fine. My internet just decided to disappear. Is this the right one? No. I don't want to dominate the screen. No.
Yeah, you got the right banner.
That'll do it.
Look at
Boom. Banners. How do they work?
No one knows.
Was that who was that? Was that Insane Clown Posse?
Yes.
Is that right?
Magnets. How do they work?
What an interesting band.
Yeah, the Juggalos.
What are they? Are they Juggalos? Are those the fans?
Yeah, that's the name of the fan group. Yeah.
Daniel, were you ever a Juggalo?
No.
I don't think I was either.
Daniel Cardoso, American Juggalo.
Like, I feel like when they hit that fan base started, I think I was on average quite a bit, or at least a little bit older than most fans. But then they've grown up, and now they're all like, in their 30s or
like. When were they like super popular? Or like really?
Well, I don't know. They're weird. They're kind of like Grateful Dead, where I don't know mainstream wise they've ever been super popular, but they have a huge following. Like, I don't think they ever, like, maybe they've had a Billboard hit. Maybe, I don't know. I know they did a cover of "Let's Go All the Way," whatever that song is. I remember. I think that had a music video that was kind of popular, but I think they're kind of in the vein of Grateful Dead. Fish is another good example of that.
The music is very different.
Music is very different than those, but as far as how popular they are, but your average person has probably never. I mean, your person that just listens to like top 40 radio or whatever, they have probably never heard a single song by.
I feel like
Grateful Dead might have sold more records than I think they did, but I feel like they were kind of like that too, but I could be wrong.
Early history, 1985 to 1994. Joseph Bruce, wow. Violent J, and Joseph Utzler,
wow.
Shaggy 2 Dope, met in Oak Park, a suburb in the north border of Detroit, Michigan. So they formed the band in 1989. Yes, and they are. There's been a feud with Eminem in the late 90s.
Oh.
It looks like they're still going. Yeah, I think we know who came out on top of that one. Man, they have like different eras. It's so weird. Bizarre and Bizarre era. The Wrath.
I mean, it's a thing, man. People.
Yeah.
I've had friends that have really been into them.
It looks like
any like musician that's been around for like decades. Like once the history,
they gotta have some following probably.
Well, that and like the people tend to break down their career into eras because I mean, if the sounds change, unless they've been playing like the same sounding music or whatever for.
They seem to have a different era every year. Like it's like 1997 to 1998, the Clown Nose era, the Wrath of Khan era. It's very strange, very very strange.
They have an era called Wrath of Khan.
I just came out of the thing, but it said the Wrath of Shangri-La era. I was like,
Oh.
what a specific.
God, I'm sure that wasn't
That's
problematic.
just strange.
I don't know. They're
Indeed.
interesting, and they don't know how magnets work. So.
Indeed.
I keep hearing really good things about The Time Traveler's Wife on HBO Max, and Stephen Moffat is doing that. I didn't know that.
I trust Stephen Moffat. Yeah.
Yeah, Sherlock and Doctor Who. And
Yeah. I just always have to ask why. I don't know. I guess if it's good, it's good. But the movie didn't
why
do.
they're adapting a novel?
Yeah. Why he's doing it as well? Like, why isn't he doing some like original
Something about
stuff?
it interested him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's really good. Well, I mean, Sherlock and Doctor Who aren't exactly original stuff.
No,
like
that's
when he
what I
got
mean.
involved.
Like in general, like he's really, really great, but he doesn't seem to do
That's
original
all you
things.
can do now, man. It's all IP. Nobody's doing anything else. Everything I've heard from writers is you write an original script just so you can get hired to write something that a studio has bought the rights to.
Wow.
And then they'll just bury they'll just keep maybe.
Cynical, but probably true.
I mean, I've heard several writers say that on podcasts and stuff. Like it's genuinely what they're doing now.
Wild.
People are showing their original screenplay just so they can get hired to write like Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever.
Did either of you guys listen to, and there's no judgment here, did you listen to the show last week?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Because I had so much to do
No,
this
that's
week.
good. That actually helps. No. That helps. So and I'm not going to let this go. We had a discussion about plane tickets and how I when I came back to England from America, there was a guy that wasn't allowed on the flight because he checked in too late. Did you guys know that was a thing?
Well, it depends. I mean, if they're like ready for takeoff or whatever, I think that
No, but as in they gave up. Like we hadn't even started boarding the plane yet, but all of they oversold the seats.
I've heard of overselling planes.
That's
I've never had an issue with
insane.
this.
I don't know how that's legal. I don't know how that's legal. How can that be
I don't
allowed?
know. I don't know the reasoning behind it. I don't know enough about it.
I bought a ticket for this
Did you look
flight.
it up?
I should get on it. No, Aaron was just like, "Yep, this is 100% a thing. This is on him for not checking in on time." I'm like, "No, fuck you, dude. That's no."
Well, it says they do it to compensate for no-shows, but like, God, people just don't show up. I mean, I guess if you get sick or something, but
there is a time I haven't shown up for a flight, and that's because it was cheaper to buy a return flight than it was a single flight, and the return ticket wasn't when I needed to be home. So I was like, well, fine, but I'm not going to be on that flight. I was like, yeah, well, it's still cheaper.
It says most of the time they correctly predict the no-shows. So I guess when that person didn't check in, they assumed he was a no-show, so they marked him off.
Yeah, he was furious. Like, understandably.
Well, I mean, he has every right to be.
Man, I don't know.
But if they set those regulations, I mean, I just don't know how many people know that.
This guy definitely didn't.
You guys did Under Siege, right? The two of you.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel did that one. Yeah, that was fun.
I like that movie.
That was so good.
I remember I saw that movie with this girl I was dating at the time. I was only like 16, so whatever you call that. I guess we were technically dating, but we went and saw the movie together.
Kids.
And there's that scene early on where it's like footage of George Bush. And this was when George Bush was president. Was when it came out. And I remember she got mad. She's like, I can't believe he would take the time to be in a movie. I'm like, yeah, that's...
No, they just pulled...
That's footage from something else.
Oh,
and
no.
I never went on a date with her again.
You judgmental asshole.
No, I'm just kidding. I absolutely dated her.
And then married her.
No.
Guys, I have to insist that you watch Triple R. You need to do it.
I will.
Man, it's I haven't felt like it's a feeling. Like, it's so crazy, the roller coaster this movie takes you on. I started off like thinking this is so bad, but then immediately switched into this is the best thing I've ever seen. It's so good and
That's
ridiculous and great.
It's
bizarre.
Is it an India movie? Is it a movie from India?
It is, yeah. Like, they have this big preamble at the beginning explaining, like, in detail that all of these events are fictional, etc. But also the religion, the dances, the places. Even like they name Delhi. They say that all of the places are fictional. This doesn't take place in India. These are not Indian people. This is nothing to do with their religion. The songs are made up. The dances are made up. Like, they go through such extent to say please don't take offense at any of this. We are having a good time. And that's not at the end of the movie. That is before the movie starts. There's 4 minutes of credits and text and explanations before the movie even starts.
Wow, we'd have 100 sins before the movie started. But it's what I've heard is that in Netflix, if you watch it in the foreign language, it's Hindi, which is not the original language the film was shot in, which is weird. I don't know why Netflix doesn't have like the original language, but it's like apparent the only options are Hindi or you can watch it dubbed.
The most distracting thing in the movie is the dubbing. So even the English actors that are speaking English are dubbed with other English-speaking people. So
you did watch the English version?
Yeah, I watched the English version. Yeah, because I thought, well, if both versions are dubbed, why not? Yeah. There's no point because there's still like Hindi in it that has subtitles at certain parts. It's not all dubbed. Only the English-speaking parts are dubbed. But even the English actors aren't English. They're saying English words because the lips match up, but it's a different voice. It's so peculiar. So strange.
I just wish they would still do it. Like, I love like the 70s Italian, well, even some of the 80s, where you'd have like in these like Italian like giallos and stuff in horror movies, you'd have actors from all over the world, and they would have them each just speak their own language, and then they would dub all of them.
Wild. How can you act like that?
I don't know, but it's crazy, and I think because of that, though, you just get some really interesting like scenes between actors, because you'll have like a German actor and an American actor, and that don't know English or German.
Yeah, if you're only learning your own lines as well, and you don't really know how to like react. That's so weird.
And then on top of that, you've got somebody directing like Dario Argento or Mario Bava or something who's just kind of out of their mind anyway. So it's just, I love those types of... I wish they still did that.
Interesting thing that I don't always get to see. So I'm using Aaron's prep sheet, which I only get to use, only have the need to look at when I'm hosting. And the way he now spells my name is WHI, capital TTING, capital TON, so that he knows where to put the pronunciation on my name.
That's funny.
Thank you.
Whittington,
not Whittington. There's no D's in my name. Whittington. Yes. Please say my name in all of the different ways. All of the different accents.
My accent has got to just work more directly with British accents. I feel like...
I mean, geographically, you're closer.
Enunciate in a
Connecticut.
Does everybody just call you Daniel, or do you have like do people call you Dan or Danny or?
I think I stopped paying attention after a while. I think
Danny.
Mostly Dan outside of my family. Within my family, there's a few people that go by Danny, but there's actually another Daniel in my family, so.
Nice.
It can be confusing.
Oh, which one has dominance? Sure. Which one gets to keep their preferred name, and which one gets nicknamed?
Well, he's older, so I think that he's won it by seniority,
just by being born earlier. Oh, I hate that.
And I think he's the cooler one, to be perfectly honest.
No, not possible.
I wonder if Dan is like its own name now, like John is. Like, I wonder if people just name their kids Dan, or if it's always Daniel. Because there's a lot of Johns that obviously are not Jonathan. I mean, they were just named John.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone that
I don't think there is, but I don't know. I was just thinking about it. We also both have where you can put a Y on the end too, because I've got the Johnny and Danny. I don't know. Nicknames. How do they work?
Nicknames. How do they work? We've got some suggestions in the chat. We have Cardi D. I don't know if you want that one. Big Danny C, which doesn't seem very... I like that one quite a lot. Yep, that's it. It's just the two that you have to choose from. It's a Cardi D or Big Danny C.
Oh, it's Daniel month on Discord?
Oh, yeah, some of those are great. Some of those are really great.
I know, they did Chris month one year, I remember, so that's fun.
Each of us have our own month. We do.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah. Oh, let's bring some up and...
Yeah, I love Discord, but I mean, I love how everybody gets on there and does their thing, but I get so overwhelmed when I go on.
There's a lot to keep up with.
But I have my alerts up, so if somebody like actually alerts me, like note it, like ats me or whatever, like I'll get around to it. So
Josh JCD has changed his rather unimaginatively to J Cardoso D. Try harder. Lollipop Shoes has changed theirs to Lolly Cardo Shoes.
D Money, that's a good one. I see.
D Money.
I like that. D Money.
Does your name not lend itself to like punny names? Apparently not.
I mean, who, Daniels? I'm
Yeah,
sure it
Daniels.
does. I mean, Daniel Tiger.
I'm terrible at making puns, so.
Yeah, me too.
You're fired.
I'm not
go
Aaron.
to that. Oh. Yeah, I was always like either in the front row or the back row because they would go by last name.
Mm-hmm.
So there'd be like maybe like one or two people that were in front of me and like everything, and then so then I'm like right in front of the teacher's desk because like you're not in a corner either because it's not an A or a Z.
Oh no,
so
that's
you
the
end
worst.
up like
You're right in the middle.
yeah.
Oh no, front and center. Oh, that's the worst. You really did have it the worst. That sucks.
Oh, so I'm January because it's January. Got it. That's nice.
Februaryan. April is Aaron month. May is de May. December is Christmas. January is January. And they think Jeremy is October, but no one knows why.
It's funny. You have four people with birthdays in May, and they picked one of the three that don't.
It's amazing. It's so great.
I'm terrible at remembering birthdays. Thank God my wife was born on January 1st.
Yeah, I'm the worst. I don't. Shit, what's the date? Oh my God, I just had a panic that I'd missed my mum's birthday. I know it's the 13th of June or July, and I can never remember which month it is. And if it's June, I'm in trouble because that was 11 days
I think you
ago.
would know by now.
Well, that's the worst, isn't it? Because I love my mum and she wouldn't tell me until I remembered, like it was a month later, and I would say, "Oh no, I forgot your birthday." Then she will say, "Yeah, it's okay. It's fine." I was like, "You didn't tell me." Like, Dad, why didn't you tell me?
That's one thing that's great about phones, though, is once you know it, you can just put it in your phone and then you'll be alerted.
Yeah,
so that's
I still managed to not do that.
I don't know how we did it in the 90s.
Calendars, how did they work?
I like think about like having to read a map, and like that gives me
terrifying.
Like sweats.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Like if I used to read maps all the time. I mean, I had a job where I drove around a lot, and then like I don't know, just thinking about that now, like just I don't think I'd remember how to do it.
Yeah. No, it's the worst. Yeah. It's the worst. Maps change as well.
But you remember how to get places when you use the map, though. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I feel like with the GPS, if you're following it, then like you go try to recreate that trip, you're just like, oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, my parents have lived in their house for 2 years now, 2.5 years. And I make that journey probably once every couple of weeks. But you're absolutely right, Daniel. I don't know how to get there because I use maps every single time. I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to have the map up, but I'm not going to look at it and see if I've remembered. No, I didn't make it like barely off of my own street before having to look at the map of where to go.
So like if you get to one of those random areas where you have no service, it's like, oh, what do I do
now?
I'm
in trouble. I am. I just have to keep driving until it picks up service again and just hope it's not like Albuquerque.
That doesn't happen often, but there's been a couple of random times where we've been like in another state that we didn't know the area.
Oh, I'm in Delaware. That's weird. I didn't know Delaware existed.
If they were this bad already, well, no one knows where Delaware is.
No.
People in Pennsylvania don't know where Delaware is. Come on.
Delaware's on, like, it's in the southeast, is it?
Are you being serious?
No. Right, I don't need to know where Delaware is.
No, you don't. I would just know if you were joking.
No, I honestly don't know.
It's northeast. It's close to Daniel.
Okay, good.
I don't know how far it is from Daniel, but I know it's in general area,
a few
right?
Hours.
Yeah.
Delaware, how does it work?
So for Jonathan Watkins, Daniel Cardos, Daniel? Did I call you Daniel?
Daniel. Oh man. Unfortunately, that's going to be your name from now on.
Amazing.